Okay, so today what I want to do is quickly go over a revision video about the front cover of the Guardian newspaper. So obviously that could come up in question 1, which is the media language analysis question. It could come up as question 2A, which is your context question, or it could come up as question 2B, where you would be asked to compare the front cover of the newspaper with an unseen text, which would be a representation question. So first thing I'm going to do is quickly remind you of the differences between left wing, which is liberal leaning, feeling that everyone should come together as a community and as a society to support those people who can't work or can't access work and things like that, and can't access education or healthcare, etc. And they are generally supporting the Labour Party. And those two newspapers are The Guardian and The Mirror. These are our only two really left-wing leaning newspapers. And as you know, The Guardian is one of our set texts. Along with the Sun newspaper, which I've forgotten to include on this, but you've got the Sun newspaper, which is your other set text, then the right wing, which is conservative with a small c. They believe in lower taxes, don't support free healthcare and free education. They are more concerned with the individual and how the individual can help themselves get out of situations. So, for example, if someone is out of work, they do not support a welfare state generally. Okay, so let's have a look. We've got the Daily Mail, we've got the Daily Telegraph, we've got the Times, and we've got the Daily Express. Along with the Sun newspaper, these are all right-wing conservative newspapers. As you can see, the Daily Mail generally has a big splash with a main image and one headline. Daily Telegraph and the Times, like the Guardian, are broadsheets, and they have a lot more. They're a lot more text-led as opposed to image and headline-led. Okay, so we know that the Guardian is text-led. It's aimed at an ABC1 audience, so a higher earning audience. Has a left-wing liberal audience, higher reading age, and obviously a higher cover price. So looking at this front cover, this was following on from Partygate. Now, Partygate happened over lockdown, when the rest of the country were being instructed by a government led by Boris Johnson to stay at home, don't come within 6 feet of another person from another household, do not join up to household. We then find out that actually they were having parties, that the government were having parties and ignoring all of the restrictions that they were putting on us, the ordinary people. So obviously, The Guardian, being a left-wing newspaper, left-leaning newspaper, is highly critical of the government. They would be critical of a Labour government, but they would be more supportive of them than they are of the current government. So looking at this front page, we've got Boris Johnson here. Because they are critical of the current government, they've chosen this image. Remember, this is a constructed representation by the newspaper. They would have been provided with a lot of images from paparazzi on that day. The paparazzi would have given them a lot of different images to choose from, and they would buy the one that they thought would suit their purposes, and their purposes are to make the Prime Minister look ridiculous. So there he is. He looks like he's running in. Can't work out if they're shoes or they're trainers, but they don't look appropriate for running. He looks a bit clownish. He's got silly trousers on. His dog it's so dark. His dog looks like he's almost flying in the air. It's just not the kind of image we'd want to see of our leader, the person who is meant to be in charge of us. So the main headline, pick out those words of accusers and lying. These are very emotive words to use in a headline. Cummings was someone who worked for Boris Johnson and has since been removed from that position. So he's starting to come out with a lot of whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is telling people what has actually been going on. So he whistleblowed over a lot of things happening in the government during the time of COVID. So quite inflammatory words, accusing, lying. These are words you don't want to hear said about your Prime Minister. And it reinforces all those liberal views that the Tory party, the Conservative party, are not doing their job correctly. We've got the use of serif fonts throughout. Everything is in a serif font. That reinforces that idea that the audience are ABC1. They're usually educated. They're a bit more sophisticated. They're a bit more classy than people who read, for example, The Sun or The Mirror. We've got a linked article here. Although this is the article about the main image, and this is the main headline, we do have a linked article, which is another criticism of the Tory party, the Conservative party. So you have the House of Commons and you have the House of Lords. A lot of people who are given peerages to be in the House of Lords, they can stop bills that the House of Commons have put through. So the VIP lane refers to a Tory peer, Moon, receiving millions for PPE. And PPE was the protective wear that people were wearing in businesses and hospitals. She received millions over the pandemic. And they're saying that her company was given the fast track to be able to get that job. So left wing are totally appalled at that. Another crisis over COVID and the Conservative government. Okay. Again, you've got about people working in the office. A lot of people are working from home now, following on from COVID. And this is indicating that they expect a lot of their readers to be working in offices. They don't expect a lot of their readers to be cleaners or builders or carpenters or electricians, people who do those skilled labour jobs and also those unskilled labour jobs working in shops, for example, or hospitality in restaurants, etc. So they think that when using that personal pronoun, what we will miss about working in the office represents the idea that their readers definitely work in an office, that's what they kind of do because they are middle class to upper class. Wine and art, again, highbrow topics appealing to the ABC one. The connotations of the word, the masthead, the Guardian, connotes it protects, and that is a liberal ideology that we protect everyone in society. We've got articles about world events, UK sending anti-tank weapons to Ukraine, and this was before the Ukraine war, before Russia invaded Ukraine. So we were already, the UK were already sending tanks, and generally, newspaper like The Guardian would approve of that. They would approve of us being allied with another country. I've got another article about politics on the front cover as well. So there you go. That's the front cover of The Guardian. Remember, if you're asked about representation of an idea is simply how are they representing their ideology, their liberal belief system. If it's asking you about what messages, well, clearly it's sending messages that are the Prime Minister of the time during COVID. Boris Johnson is clearly incompetent. He's represented as looking clownish, and he's also accused of lying in the main headline. So hopefully that's helped a little bit with your revision. Good luck.